Well, hello, my beautiful YouTube family. Oh boy, does it feel good to be back. I have a jam-packed episode today because we are bringing the trailer up to speed to the point to be able to make over the entire thing before it gets too hot out here in the desert. Well, hi, yeah, we're back. I'm wearing two glasses, and what a wild ride this episode is about to be for you guys. Who, what, where, why? I guess is the easiest way to start, since this is me really coming back to my channel for the year, and that's really exciting to me. Who? Hi, my name is Rachel Metz. I moved to the desert after a long-term relationship of 7 years with a little skateboarder came to an end. 30 years old, single, not ready to mingle. I'm currently moving my whole life and career, finishing up today in there. Everything that you guys know and love is just empty. I just decided that I wanted to become a different woman, so I wanted to really live to DIY, as my channel says, and come out here, buy 5 acres, buy a 3-bedroom home in Joshua Tree, and DIY my corner of the world. Now, why are you watching this episode? That's a really good question. Maybe you're interested in a trailer renovation. Unfortunately, mine has literally taken a year because I've done it completely backwards, all alone, without asking for help. And that's where this episode comes in, flips the script, and really moves this series along. I used to have a total of 9 structures on my 5 acres, but now I have come down to 4. The 4 remaining, one is going to be demoed. The other one we are currently in and working on is the trailer that we are turning into a guest house. The other structure is my 3-bedroom home, and the 4th structure is what we call the party pad, which we have dove into before on the channel. Now that we covered the bases, and you can tell that I've worked on this trailer for a year and it kind of feels like we've gotten nowhere, this is where it all switches up and we make a ton of progress, and I bring you along the first real raw time with Rachel. And I'm really excited to move forward in a more cohesive and thoughtful way. Let's just jump into this renovation, shall we? Are we doing
all of them?
All of them. This is most definitely a collaboration between Brig and I, just trying to figure out if we could DIY some pocket sliding doors for less than $8,000 that are like listed on Alibaba. But I did not want to spend that type of money. So we figured, why not just give it a go, since this whole thing is a test subject anyways. And the only way we were going to really get going is cutting this 12-foot opening. So that's exactly what we did with an angle grinder and a saw. We kept making our way through slowly but surely up until it was fully cut down and just had a little bit of a give in order for me to come on in and look like I'm some like big bad broad knocking this thing down. But it is pretty dramatic and rad.
Again! More. Okay, come here now.
Jesus. How fun! Okay, so permission to dream together right now a little bit. Obviously, with this opening, not only is it going to give so much more light, it's going to give a view, but it already doubles the living space. These pocket hole doors are going to open all the way, and that way the living space will extend onto this deck I will be building a little bit later. They are perfect. Now, the doors that I'm using, because this is all basically me just trying to figure something out for less, are these glass doors, like the wood raw glass doors that you can pick up from Home Depot. I have linked everything down below that I possibly can for you that I've used for this build. With this idea, I do lose a little bit of wall, like it becomes a little bit thicker and it brings in the room a little bit, but I'm not really too concerned with that because that entryway arch DIY Urban Outfitters dupe that we decided to do actually comes in handy here, because that is the depth that I need it to be flush to the doors. It will make sense in 2 seconds. You always need your frame to support whatever weight that you are adding to it. And this is going to be a ton of weight, and not only a ton of weight, but we removed a lot of middle support from the frame when we cut out that huge 12-foot opening. I took some time with Brig overnight to frame out this 12-foot opening, since he is very good at it, and I don't know where that footage went, but you'll see in the next slide as I'm about to hang these tracks after I framed out the wall and we framed out that top. I am using closet sliding door racks that you can pick up from Home Depot to slide these puppies in. I was able to grab some help from my buddy Pollux, everybody meet Pollux, the next day, and he helped me hang the tracks and start to cut the groove of the floor where we were gonna put some C-channel down below to be that like metal sturdy support for these heavy ass doors. This was actually very therapeutic to notch out the 2x4 frame underneath the trailer. I went in later and sister supported the beams that needed it since I am, compromising the structure or the foundation of it by removing a little bit of it, but I'm reinforcing it with this C-channel, so I wasn't too concerned. As I was working on that, you can see Pollux starting to remove the window on the left because again, we are going to be continuing upgrading the windows and the doors so we can do the necessary framing in order to move forward with electrical and then wrap up with some drywall so we can really start to make over this space. So I went inside for 2 seconds and I changed my mind, and we're gonna explain, well, I'm gonna explain why. Rachel, that looks better, is gonna explain why. The hardware that I'm using for these sliding doors is actually sliding door wheel hardware. I will link it down below for you, but I decided to just pause the idea of using casters and trying to do a very budget way and actually order the correct hardware. Now, how did we install those? I actually did not film that for whatever reason, and what we did is just use a router to chisel out the depth of what we needed for these doors to be flush onto the track. I know I'm the world's worst YouTuber. Because I decided to redirect and just wait for the hardware that I decided to order that I just talked about, I opted to start to do the second window in the kitchen on the right-hand side, make that also bigger and better, and that will be where the kitchen sink goes, and you're looking out onto my property where all the action is. And are you about to see the goofiest smile on my face? I was so excited to pop this window in because it just has the perfect view.
Oh, are you okay?
Of the sunset every day. It's absolutely incredible. I was so stoked on this.
God damn,
Who did that window?
I did not have the other window to put in that evening, but I was so beyond pumped on this big window popping in, and so grateful for Pollux, who is also a contractor out here that is for hire in the desert if you ever need him. Hi everybody, meet Eric. Isn't he such a babe? He's taken by a bigger babe, so get over it. We just saw a scorpion and a baby sidewinder. Fun fact. Oh, I'm introducing you to so many people this episode, but they are some of my favorite humans in the desert, so I'm very excited about that. Anywho, let's talk about how none of you guys stopped me last year doing the trailer room by room. Who ever thought that was a good idea? Whoa. That is absolutely psychotic. So we are just continuing to move forward with installing all the windows through the trailer, making sure all that framing is good before we move to the next phase, which will be subfloor. Framing may seem intimidating, but it really isn't. I just popped onto Google, typed in how to frame a window, and followed a diagram that suited my needs best. Wow. I might lower that one, I don't know. Shit. I don't know why I didn't address this earlier, but this is not a movable trailer. This is becoming an actual guest house. This is where I will be staying when I am renovating my main house, which is 3-bedroom, 1 bath. So I just need to make that clear. I don't know why I didn't mention that earlier. After all of the windows were in, I decided to demo the subfloor and replace it throughout the entire trailer. So when we move forward with adding walls, we're walking on fresh floor, and we are also, butting that drywall up against fresh floor. These are the parts of the DIY that are the most important, or the renovation that are the most important, I should say, but to me are the most tedious, and I kind of avoid it. So I love when I have help. Whoa. Boom. Boom, baby, boom. Wow. It's so crazy. Oh my God. Ask and you shall receive. My women showed up and they were just down to help me with anything that I needed to get this thing moving. It was real nice. I mean, also, how good are those doors? Okay, we've game planned off screen, and Miss Jess, who looks so cute, she's gonna be doing my plumbing game plan for the trailer because she loves plumbing. She also, if you guys didn't see, did the drywall and the plumbing for the bathroom in the trailer. And Miss Lindsay and I, we are going to, what are we doing? Subfloor and Electrical. Woodbrain and I decided to add subfloor adhesive and pop the subfloor that I cut a rough in of the day previously and actually install the floor to be permanent, even though I was trying to avoid it because I just wanted to have fun with them. That's exactly what I said not to do. Get your foot off the floor. It's lava. Lindsay, I gave you over there. Side, do not touch your side. That's construction adhesive. Oh my god.
Send it. Okay.
Ow, splitter! Oh! I dropped. Okay. There you go. There we go. So now we have really divided and conquered. I'm finishing up the subfloor. Lindsay started taking out the nails because in order for us to do drywall, everything needs to be flat and clear. But I love when I look over and I have one friend over here talking to another lovely friend of hers, and then I have another friend figuring out my jacuzzi situation. All the while I'm able to progress on my passion here as they just help me. It is really something beautiful to learn how to ask for help and not to feel weird about it, because right now, hands down, is like my favorite time in the desert, my favorite moments that I live for, and I'm excited to finally bring you in. They're very simple, just like this, but it's why I live my life how I do. I love it so much. They're figuring out the spa. They're figuring out the spa. Look at me oodling at my women from afar. They're so good. They're so good at what they do. Jacuzzi time. Hi, this lighting is terrible, guys, but fun fact, this is Allie. You're gonna see a lot of her. She is officially my left hand. Right hand, because that's just rude that it's only called right hand, right? Like left-handers, where we at? Anyways, she literally doesn't know how to use any type of power tool, so you guys are going to see yet another example of a woman learning power tools for the first time. I'm gonna show her multi-tool. I don't even know how to use this tool. Most of the existing frame in the trailer is pretty solid, but I'm just gonna go back in and support where necessary because I don't wanna be doing all this hard work for nothing. So I could just frame for security. Correct. I should also preemptively add studs to where I wanna do like floating shelves or anything kind of heavier duty like a TV, like this would be the time to do that. If you haven't seen the previous episodes, or if you just can't tell by looking up at the roof of the trailer with me and seeing where that black is, that is where water damage is. So the roof concaves in, and I decided to sister some new 2x3s in order to kind of shake and shimmy that on up to prevent water damage from happening, and to also just add so much more support to the roof so it's nice and strong. Hi there. Hey, so I'm making notes on this edit as I'm watching it back because I realized I don't explain stuff. This is where I'm supposed to say, hold on. That's wrong. I should have been keeping in mind level to save us a few hours later in this episode. What that means, let me tell you. So right now you see me adding supports in between. This is what the original frame looked like. I'm adding supports to like kind of lift and strengthen, and I'm not taking into consideration, is this level? Like, how far is this off, and where are you putting the supports, and can you kind of just level this out as you go with the framing that you're doing? I learned that the hard way after I spent, I don't even know, 3-4 hours sistering that ceiling frame, and then Brent came in and was like, is any of this level? And we had to redo it. So I'm interrupting here as my notes say. Anyways, this isn't live, it's not gonna shock me. Okay, bye. After wrapping up where I needed to add that sister support and just reframe around the windows and ensure that's good to go, that is when I stepped back and started to tackle the electrical. I have done some electrical in my time, and I just really wanted to challenge myself to understand wiring like 14.2 and 14.4 and the difference between using wiring for GFC eyes and appliances. So that's exactly what I decided to do here, since it was on a smaller scale. I dove in by just laying out where I wanted the plugs and where I wanted the switches, and then I used the appropriate cords for both of them. These are just placeholders. I am just making sure I have enough wiring to wire to the breaker box. I'm gonna be installing these outlet boxes. What am I doing with my life? I'm just putting these here. I don't know if they're gonna stay permanently, but I might shuffle it around. That's why I give everything so much excess.
It really feels like it's a never-ending path of clearing debris or clearing nails or making way for the new, and that's exactly what's happening here. We started just drilling holes and pulling through wires. In the general area, we wanted everything.
I learned something new from Woodbrain's husband, Mr. Eric. 14-3 wire is to connect the switches if you want them to be on a two-way. So that is what I am running. This is not the white that you saw me running earlier, which is a 14-2. This sounds confusing, but if anybody's watching this video, I'm using 14-3 for the two-way switch connection and 14-2 for the regular plugs. And then the yellow that you see Miss Allie installing down there is for my GFCI.
Once the plugs and the switches were down, I decided to wire for recess lighting. Yes, again, you heard me correctly. Recess lighting, baby. Allie started splicing some things together for me to then pull it to the breaker box, which was really helpful. And then I was like, hey girl, do you want to use an angle grinder and cut a huge opening for yet another window? And she was like, yeah, duh. I'm just gonna stay with the theme of removing all the windows and upgrading them, because why not just make these new, since this is a permanent structure? Because we are making this all brand new, I'm able to move the plumbing, so that's why I demoed it out completely, and we will be revisiting that in depth in the next episode. But right now we're gonna focus on Allie being a badass and cutting open this opening for a breakfast bar window buffet type of situation.
So much better.
I'm needing to frame that window as well, but I need to hold off just a little bit because I need to find a custom opening window right there. So we moved forward with adding insulation so I could then move forward with some drywall, finally. Once I got the base of the electrical laid out and I was feeling pretty confident, I came back in because I just honestly wanted to see progress, and we grabbed 1/2-inch drywall and started to throw that drywall right on up. And even though we wanted to continue to hang the drywall, Brig did have this brilliant idea for me to pause and have an electrician come out, make sure everything is up to code and what I'm doing is correct, versus wasting my time and having to demo most of the drywall and redo all of that hard work.
Quick explanation to you guys as to why I just did just a section. Number one, to appease you freaks. Number two, I'm gonna place it on hold as I hire an electrician to make sure your girl isn't about to set this whole trailer on fire. Little fun fact for you. But this is what it's gonna look like. And then we what do? We tape, mud, and then skim coat. But I've done that a million times with you on the channel, so I'm not gonna do it again. But we have walls. That's the main part. We have, well, a half of a wall.
I know I'm saying that this is a trailer renovation, but essentially the only thing I'm keeping is the metal shell, and I am creating this trailer into a guest house. So it is so drastically different to be renovating this to kind of just stay put than it is to be putting it back onto the road. So please keep that in mind. But no matter what the renovation is, I mean, looking at the before and to where we're at now, what an absolute difference. I mean, now we're moving ahead with electrical and plumbing and drywalling and paint in the next episode, and then we're sectioning it up into 3 separate makeovers. So lots in store for you guys. Feels good to be back. I'll see you soon for another DIY.